Hello, hello, everyone. This is Jen with innerworkcoaching.life. I hope you're all having a wonderful week so far. Today I was working on some of the content for my class, and I, like always, had an idea about something that I wanted to share. And usually when these come to me, it's something that I should share pretty much right away, or at least record right away because somebody needs to hear it. So, um, what I was thinking about is triggers and programming and conditioning and deprogramming ourselves, and the role that knowledge and information plays in this kind of cycle of life lessons and learning and experience, right? So I wrote down a huge part of the reason people get defensive about something is because we misunderstand that something, or we're afraid to define it for ourselves on some level. There's a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings, like when we assume that we know what something means because we have the surface level definition, but we're not willing to go any deeper than that for understanding's sake because we're too afraid to find out what it's really about. So there have been a lot of misconceptions in my life um, that I eventually refused to play into. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I have to find this out for myself because I don't believe anything anymore. Because I had been told so many things that ended up not being true in my experience that I started really doubting everything that I was being told, and as you know, the awakening cycle goes in cycles, right? You're never, done. It's never complete. We're eternal beings. We're always going to be growing and evolving and changing. It's not like a, we can finish. um, but the misconceptions that we have a lot of the times will create trigger points for us, right? And a lot of times these trigger points are based on conditioned beliefs rather than beliefs that we hold true at our core in our soul. And that's why we experience inner conflict or cognitive dissonance, is when these beliefs that we have been programmed with clash with the beliefs that we know to be true deep within us on a soul level. So that's how I kind of interpret it, you know what I mean? Like that's a good solid metaphor that I've been able to know is pretty accurate based on my experiences, the inner work experiences. And you know I didn't have any real inner work experiences until I really started paying attention. And so paying attention is important, but that's off topic, so let's get back to misconceptions. So one of the things that I have had a huge misconception about, and I was going to talk about something less serious and controversial, but right now the only thing popping into my head is polyamory. So we'll run with that. Um, I thought that it was just inconceivable. I was under the impression that monogamy is the only thing that's quote unquote right, and that everything else is bad or wrong because I was raised to think in black and white because the people who raised me thought in black and white. So it's it's not really that way. Um, there there are many, many other angles and aspects to take into consideration rather than just the one extreme or the other, you know? Um, so in a lot of ways, which this is so funny to me, in a lot of ways, I'm like completely opposite of what I was or they were trying to condition me into being, like totally opposite. So one of the misconceptions I had was about polyamory. And like most people think that it's just an excuse to go and be a slut, you know what I mean? Or to go and sleep with whoever you want to. And that's not even close to accurate. Like, I learned uh, that love is infinite. It's not limited to one person. You, you can love many different people in many different ways. It is boundless. It is everything and it's everywhere because God energy is also unconditional love. And that's limitless, boundless, everywhere, and eternal. So it's interesting for me to think about monogamy and my experiences with that, the traditional sort of relationships, which have all been ugh, either codependent or abusive or, not good long term, not beneficial, not beneficial um, for someone like me who wants to constantly try new things and do different things and get out there and explore and talk to people and meet new people and hear stories. You know what I mean? Like when when I get into a monogamous relationship, or when I used to, um, it always felt like the person wanted to own me and hide me and keep me to themselves, sort of thing, you know? And I'm not a piece of property. That is very conditional love, you know? Um, and it's not that I'm totally opposed to monogamous relationships, for some people it totally works and it's not toxic, and that's great and good, you know? Um, but at this point in my life, I like my freedom a little too much, you know? I'm not ready to be owned by someone again or possessed. And I finally am rediscovering who I am. So, and I'm not a serial monogamist, you guys. I've never been into it. I've always been more single more often than not, you know, um, for longer periods of time. And it's because there's always like an off balance thing, you know? And maybe I would have a different experience now, sure. But I really care about the people that I have in my life, you know? And monogamy is not really a thing here, you know, in my current state because love is not limited. You don't have to limit it to one person. Nobody's jealous or possessive or angry or weird or talks badly about the others, you know? It's all very open. And I didn't think that that was going to be how it would be. I was very surprised. I started off this 2018. We had literally just landed here due to a leap of faith on everyone's part, on everyone's part, quite literally. Like we all took huge risks and jumped in and said, okay, you know, and things did not turn out or go the way that I expected them to at all. Um, they went much better. And I shouldn't say expected. I was working through a lot of trust issues because remember we had just been betrayed by a bunch of people who said they loved us. And so it was not an easy time. But because I had consciously made the decision um, during my spiritual awakening process to shift into like the love, abundance, allowing consciousness rather than the fear, control, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I had consciously made the decision to shift. And ever since that point, that conscious decision, like everything shifted. Things fell apart, which led to the requirement of that leap of faith that I was talking about. And it's not that there was no other choice, it was that this was the best option for everyone involved, right? But it still required a leap of faith. And it took a while for us to open up. But circumstances um, kind of led to a sort of closeness developing. And before we knew it, we had brand new friends, and our experiences with these people were almost night and day opposite of our experiences with other people, especially when it came to um, all the little things, all the little things, um, all the little things that we had to walk around on eggshells about before have kind of faded away. Um, my kids and I are all working on ourselves, by the way. I have two teenagers, and they were in the same situation as me, so they have a lot of similar, you know, issues to work out. And so we talk about things and we work on things together a lot. And there's been a lot of growth there too. So at this point, whereas, a year and a half ago, I felt completely alone and abandoned and like nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. I was from a different planet, to now being surrounded by similarly minded people who understand the concepts that I'm talking about and understand where I'm coming from, and it's just a night and day difference, you guys. And this is a manifestation that is now played out, that I can now see how it played out. And I wonder if the leap of faith is required every time, a big one. What do you guys think? You think a leap of faith is required every time? Like a big, huge leap of faith? Oh man, how interesting. Anyway, I totally got off topic here. Now I'm talking about manifesting. And I kind of went into my awakening story. So that's going to probably come out in bits and pieces, you guys, because as appropriate, I'm going to start sharing some of the things that have happened, but kind of vaguely, because I don't want to air any dirty laundry or talk badly about people. But I think it's important to still talk about the difficult topics and still share my perspective because of all of the healing that I've done and how different my perspective is now as compared to like a year ago because, or a year and a half ago, because I was so angry at that point, you know? It's interesting to go back and see what happens and see how far you've come, you know. I haven't yet. I kind of remember though, and I remember how I felt, how betrayed I felt, you know. So anyway, so I made the conscious decision to step into this loving consciousness, this perspective of love is everywhere. And then it started coming into play everywhere, right? I started falling in love with new foods, new music. I've been falling in love with music all over again, composing, writing songs, singing. I'm kind of taking a break from that right now because my voice is still all messed up from that cold, but I plan on getting back into it as soon as I can. Um, I started falling in love with my life and actually participating and falling in love with the people as they are rather than trying to change them, rather than um, trying to manipulate them, even if I do it in a nice way or a well-meaning way or whatever. You know, at some point, we literally have to understand that in order to truly love someone, the first step is acceptance. We have to accept people for who they are, and that starts with us, with ourselves. You know, I um I chose love at a time where I was over 300 pounds, and I knew that I had to accept myself first. But I also knew that that 300 pounds was losable, you know? And you know what happened is I accepted myself and I embraced myself. I started looking in my own eyes in the mirror and telling myself, I love you. We've got this. You and me, man. We're in this together. We've totally got this. And we're going to do some awesome stuff, but we have to stay focused. So you got my back and I got your back. And we're going to keep that ego guy in check. And we're going to do this. You know, we're totally going to do this. And I just started telling myself things like that, you know, and before I knew it, I didn't even mind being so heavy. And then I didn't mind actually getting into my body and like starting yoga and working out and being uncomfortable and sweating. Sweating is ew, gross, right? Ew. You know, ew. I don't think it's gross anymore. Now I like it, you know. Now I'm like, hey, let's work out. Let's do something. Let's go hiking. Let's go do something, you know. And I don't mind getting my hands a little dirty if I, you know, want to play in the mud or the sand or something. It's great. You connect with the earth. It's beautiful. And so you start to really embrace everything when you start to choose love for yourself. And accepting yourself can be kind of difficult if you've been told a bunch of mean stuff about yourself. But what all those other people say doesn't matter. You don't have to believe that if you don't want to. Even if it's been repeated to you. Oh, it must be true. No, it's not true because you decide what's true about you. Nobody else gets to decide that. They're not living in your vessel, you know? Nobody else gets to choose for you. You choose for yourself. You can choose your beliefs, you know? Which brings me to the next part about this whole misconception idea. You know, polyamory used to be a word that triggered me. I'm sure at some point it probably will still. You know, I explain to some people, I don't explain to others. Sometimes it makes sense to people, sometimes it doesn't. You don't have to have my lifestyle, you know. I spend the majority of my time by myself creating. And usually when I'm with people that I'm with, one on one, we tend to do something creative and we express ourselves. We either have long conversation about everything and anything, or we compose music, or we play music, or we um, hike, camp, gosh, hang out, you know, it's great. It's fun. Majority of the time though, and when I do this stuff with other people, or we oh man, or we go driving or go have some crazy adventure, depending on what comes up. Anyway, but when I'm spending time with my people one on one, it's literally about quality time and enjoying the time that we spend together. And in between, we might touch base, from time to time, what have you, but everybody has lives. Everybody's building something. Everybody's trying to get to that next level. Everyone's ambitious. Everyone's kind of driven, and there's stuff that comes up to handle all over the place because everybody's lives are complicated. And nobody's so bored that we rely on each other for instant entertainment or gratification. We all have our own things. And this is a freedom that I am not willing to give up. And most of the time in monogamous relationships, people like to monopolize my time. They like to have my constant attention because of whatever reason, validation. I give people compliments rather than criticism. It's it's just a thing and it's okay, but it's just not for me. And I finally know that. And so now polyamory is like, oh, hey, I found my home. Cool. Here's my people. All right. Awesome. Let's continue this love and not jealousy thing. 'Cause there's no worse feeling than someone dictating your life to you. There's no worse feeling than someone controlling your every move. There's no worse feeling than someone claiming to love you and then treating you like property. It's fucked up, you know? So, other misconceptions. I don't really have anything else coming to mind right this second. But how many times has a misunderstanding messed you up? A miscommunication, even someone using a word, and to them it means one thing, but to you it has some other connotation. And so it triggers this whole huge fight, you know? There's maybe a topic, maybe you get triggered talking about, politics or whatever your triggery topic might be. There's something there that does not align with your soul if it's triggering you. If it's creating that kind of conflict within you and stealing your focus like that in such a big, loud way, do you think that's a coincidence? It's trying to get your attention. And the more you ignore it, the louder your life circumstances will scream that message at you, triggering you over and over and bigger and bigger. Isn't it time to start listening? Like, it's so much easier and so much less dramatic when we listen to our lives and we listen to what the messages are trying to tell us. And you'll feel it, you know, you'll feel it. You'll feel it when you get there. But ask yourself, why is this triggering me? This is a big part of what I talk about, or some of what I talk about in my class, and that I'm creating content for it still now. It's already up on a page, but when you're triggered, there's something there for you to heal, and it might not be very pretty to look at, but it's important that we do. That's what shadow work is. That's what shining light on something means. That's what being a light worker is all about, is illuminating the darkness, you know, and showing us that the darkness isn't evil or bad. It's just a different aspect of us. It's still part of us, and it's meant for something. It's not meant to be suppressed and ignored so it can build and spiral out of control and create the havoc that we see so often. It's meant to be learned from and utilized in some fashion to better ourselves, on some level. And that's what I believe. That's a big part of what I believe. I know I tend to think a little differently. People tell me I'm too open-minded sometimes. One person in particular, he knows who he is. And I say, you know what? I love being too open-minded. It's a really beautiful place here, and I hope you'll join me. I hope this message resonates with you. And I hope that in all of our inner work, in all of our interactions, whether it be one-on-one or via conversations online, or if you find my videos or my content in some other form, um, I hope that you know that we are connected. We all are connected. And there's a reason why you come across the information that you come across. So give it a chance. Don't immediately dismiss something just because it makes you uncomfortable. If something makes you uncomfortable because it triggers you, then there's usually something there. There's usually something in there that needs to be healed emotionally. And keeping that in mind can help you to think before you react, kind of thing. Mindfully take a step back and say, okay, is there going to be any benefit to me lashing out at someone else right now or responding in this state of being? And if not, then just sit for a second and breathe. Remember to breathe. Always remember to breathe. And let it kind of fade out, because it will. It won't last forever, but it wants to be experienced so that you can know what it's about. You'll understand the message once you fully feel it. And that's kind of the difference between suppressing and ignoring your emotions versus, expressing them or actually taking a moment to feel them. Because you end up understanding yourself a lot better, which helps with accepting yourself and the things that you've done that you regret or whatever you might have, stuff that's happened to you, feelings that you have or beliefs that you have that don't make you feel good, you know. All of these things we have the power to change. And the way that begins is by examining our triggers and really starting to pay attention. So I really hope that you guys resonate with this message. I'm getting really tired. I've done oh gosh, like 8 videos today. I don't even know. So I'm kind of getting off track, but I hope that you guys are having a beautiful, beautiful weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this. And when I'm recording this, it's coming up on the new year. And so I hope that whatever you're doing or whatever you're planning for 2019, that you enter into the year with positive intentions for your growth. And I hope that you make it a real point to start loving yourselves deep down, really from the heart, from the soul. And once you do, your whole world can shift for you. It's kind of amazing what happens. I'm going to share more of my story as things progress. As you can tell, I'm pretty trigger free at this point. There are still little things that come up from time to time, but holy cow, you would not believe the crazy adventures, the crazy journey. Anyway, I hope you guys, if I don't see you in another video before, I hope you guys start out your 2019 blissing out and in positivity and spending time with people that you absolutely adore and doing something that you love. I plan to do that. And I hope that, we can kind of mingle spiritually in our festivities, match vibrations of fun and happiness, and love and joy. And I hope that your 2019 starts and ends on a very, very positive note. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night now. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend or whatever it is for you. I know I've said that like a billion times, but I'm going to talk to you guys in the next video. Again, if you want to follow me or anything like that, feel free to check out my YouTube or just go to innerworkcoaching.life. I update the website quite a lot these days. So I hope you'll be there. And there's also a Facebook group. So if you want to interact, I'm going to be doing some monthly Q&A webinars, probably in that Facebook group, like live streams. And so you guys will be able to join me and ask questions about emotions and what my understanding is about inner work. Anything inner work, emotion, mindfulness, trigger, trauma, whatever related. If I have an experiential understanding of it, then I will share that with you. That being said, I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks.
Do you see beauty or do you see pain? Oh, whatever you feel is what comes back again. Oh.
Thank you so much for being here, my friends. Namaste. As you remember and reconnect with the light of unconditional love within your soul, don't forget to enjoy your life and have some fun along the way. Fall into the unknown.
Fall with me into the unknown. Let's break free, learn how to let go.
Download this track and other fun bonuses when you defuse the love bomb at www.innerworkcoaching.life.